Hi mathematicians! So today we are going to learn about our heart rate. Our heart is a super important organ in our body. It is a muscle, just like how you have muscles in your arms and muscles in your legs. You have muscles in other parts of your body too, such as your heart. And it's really important that we exercise our heart so that it'll last us a long, healthy, and happy life, doing all the things that we want to do. So we are going to talk a little bit about heart rate, and then we are going to do some activities where we're testing our heart rate and incorporating math. I am making this video so that you could actually do the entire lesson while watching this video. So because there's parts of the lesson where you need to be timed, and if you don't have someone to time you, you can just keep following along with me and pause it whenever you need to write stuff down or get something, and but I can be your timer. Okay, so step one is kind of understanding what our heart does and how we can check what our heart rate is. So we're gonna take a moment and just find our heart rate. There's three places that you can find your heart rate. One is on your chest. I feel it, it goes bum bum, bum bum, bum bum. Then another spot is underneath your chin or your jaw, kind of in here a little bit. That's it. That's probably the best spot for me to find my heart rate. That's the easiest place for me. If you're having trouble feeling it, try getting really quiet. I find it's hard to feel it when I'm talking. You can also pause really quick and ask someone in your house to help you find it. The third spot is on your wrist. This for me is the harder spot to find it. It's kind of in between two of the bones that go right here. So I will be using this spot whenever I need to check mine today. Take a moment and decide which spot, which of the three options works best for you, and that will be what you use to check your heart rate. Hopefully all of you were able to watch the brain pop video that I linked. If you are unable to watch that, please pause this and go and watch the brain pop video. It's short and super fun, and then come back. Okay, now that we've all watched that brain pop video, we are going to start learning about our heart rate. So as you saw in the video, your heart is a muscle that pumps blood all around your body and brings it back. And every single time that your heart pumps, it's doing that whole loop of your blood going all around your body and coming back. And the stronger your heart is, the fewer pumps it needs to get it. So you can think if it's making really weak pumps, it's not very strong, it has to pump a bunch to get that blood all around your body. But if it's really strong, it can just in one pump do it, and then it can wait a couple more seconds and then do another pump. So the lower your heart rate is, the stronger your heart is. For kids in second grade, a good average heart rate is between 60 and 100 beats per minute. As you get older, they want it to come down. But for you all, anywhere really up to 100 beats per minute is great. So we are going to do a couple of different activities to find our heart rate. We are going to find our resting heart rate, and then we're going to do a couple of activities to find our activity heart rate. We measure, as mathematicians and scientists, we measure our heart rate by minute. That's a long time to count the beats. So we are going to do something where we measure it in 6 seconds, and then we add a 0 so that we make that into the tens place, and that will tell us how long it is in a minute. So first thing that you need is a pencil and a sheet of paper. It does not have to be lined, it can be blank. So go ahead and pause this video and then come back when you have a pencil and your paper. Okay, so we are going to make 3 columns. It says activity, so you write that, ACTIVITY, and then draw this line. And then 6, like the number 6, seconds, I just wrote SEC, that's kind of a shorthand. And then I wrote HR. HR stands for heart rate. So that's how many beats you're going to get in that 6-second time period. And then I said add a 0. I drew a little arrow. And that means that it's your 1 minute heart rate. So the number 1, MIN for minute, and then HR for heart rate. A bunch of code on this. Okay, so I made that. I have these lines to separate out my columns. And you can go ahead and pause me and then come back whenever you have your chart made and are ready to begin. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is find our resting heart rate. So I want you to be in a spot where you can really relax and be calm. Maybe you even want to lie down. I found a spot so that I can lie down. I'm kind of in my little workout area on my yoga mat. Maybe you're in your room or just like a corner of your house that's a little bit quiet. It might not be perfectly quiet. You can probably hear my husband who teaches high school. He is talking to one of his students right now. It's not perfectly quiet, but I'm able to relax. So we are going to find our resting heart rate. First thing that we have to do is really relax and rest. I'm excited for this because this is something that you can actually do when you feel frustrated too. We're gonna do some strategies that you probably already know for mindful breathing to calm us down and bring our heart rate back. So I'm gonna sit up nice and tall. Maybe you're lying down, find a spot. And we are just going to sit for about a minute and just relax and just be together. So I'm going to do some roller coaster breathing. Maybe you wanna follow along with me or do your own breathing or try and be kind of quiet, and then I'll tell you when to wake up and come back kind of to the video, okay? Taking a couple more deep breaths, trying to ignore the sound of Chris upstairs. Okay, so come on back. We are here, we're calm. Maybe you did roller coaster breathing with me. Maybe you just sat and closed your eyes. So we're pretty calm right now, and we are going to go ahead and find our resting heart rate. So I am going to set a timer for 6 seconds and get yourself ready. And you are going to, 6 seconds is pretty quick. So go ahead and find your heart rate. And then I'll say go. And then 6 seconds later, I'll say stop. And you should count how many heart rates you hear. So get yourself ready. You can pause me if you're feeling nervous until you find it, and then press play for me to say go. Okay, and start. And stop. Okay, so have that number in your head and go ahead and just write it under the 6 seconds heart rate. So mine was 5. Maybe yours was 6 or 7 or 8 or 9. And then for activity, we're going to write rest. Resting. Because we are resting. Maybe you want to write mindfulness or something else. And then I'm actually just going to draw a line under here to make sure that my work is organized. So for this, we're going to add a 0 next to the 5. So it goes from 5 to, if it was a whole minute, which is how many seconds? 60 seconds. It turns into 50. As a challenge, you can try and figure out, why does adding 0 change it to in a minute? So my resting heart rate right now is 50 beats a minute. What is yours? Is it 60 beats a minute? Maybe 70 beats a minute? 80 beats a minute? Okay, now we're going to do some movement in order to find an activity heart rate. I'm going to do jumping jacks. And I'm going to run up and down the stairs. You want to do this for at least 5 minutes. I am just going to get started, and then I'm going to ask you to pause the video and then come back after you've done it for 5 minutes or so. Maybe you're going to go outside and run around your block 10 times, or you're going to jump on the trampoline or do something else. I am going to do some jumping jacks. So I'm going to do some jumping jacks. Maybe I'm going to run up and down the stairs, do sprints across my living room, whatever I am allowed to do and feel comfortable doing. Go ahead and pause this, and then after you do that, come on back. Okay, welcome back. So you just did your activity, and now we are going to time our heart rate again. So go ahead and find your heart rate and begin. And stop. Okay, so let's say that I got 7. Please don't just write down what I got. Please write down what you got. I got 7, and I was doing jumping jacks. So I'm going to write jumping jacks. You'll write down whatever you did. If you did a bunch of stuff, you could kind of write down 2 or 3 of the things. And then I'm going to change my 7 into 70. So I'm going to do one more activity. Maybe that's running around or something else. I'm going to do one more activity and then write it all down. So go ahead and pause me and then come on back after you have written down after you have done your activity. And please make sure that you come back immediately after, because your heart rate, it goes down pretty quickly as you recover and as you cool down from your activity. So just come back right away and we will find our heart rate again. Okay, welcome back. So we are going to go ahead and find your heart rate, find your heartbeat, and get ready to start counting and begin. And stop. Okay, whatever it was, go ahead and write that down. Write down your activity, what your number was, and then add a 0. Okay. So now that we have some data, we are going to do some math with that data. So for example, one thing that you can do is see how much faster your heart rate was after you do an activity than when you're resting. So when I was doing the jumping jacks, it went up to 70, and when I was resting, it was at 50. So the difference, I want to find the difference between 50 and 70. So I have 50 on my number line, 70, not too close, not too far away, 70 is about right here. The space between those two numbers is my difference. So that difference for me, 50 to 70, where I know 50 to 60 is 10, and 60 to 70 is 10, so 10 and 10 is 20. So the difference is 20. I might write 50 plus 20 equals 70. So 50 plus 20 equals 70. That's showing the difference between is that my heart rate went up 20 beats a minute after I did something active. If you did this, you maybe chose to do a bunch of different activities. You could just choose from the fastest heart rate to the slowest, the difference. And what about if we added all of our heart rates together? So for me, I have 50 and 70. If I'm adding 50 and 70, if I'm adding 50 plus 70, what I do is I say, well, 5 and 7. I know 5 and 5 is 10, plus 2 is 12. So 5 and 7 is 12. And then I'm gonna add my ones, which is pretty easy here because my 1's 0 and 0. So I have 120. You could also say, well, I know 50 and 50 is 100, and I already found out that 20 was the difference. So I'm adding 120, which is hi, sorry, my video got paused. Okay, so I just finished adding up my two heart rates together. You can do this with any strategy that makes sense to you. Okay, so something else that you can do is think of some things that might help bring your heart rate back down. We had done that breathing before. Maybe you want to test something else out. You want to see if stretching brings it down. Like, what's the difference of your heart rate right after you do your activity and then after a couple minutes of stretching? Or maybe right when you wake up in the morning, what's your heart rate at? I often find that right before I fall asleep, it gets the lowest. And that in the middle of the day, it tends to be a little bit higher because I've just been kind of active and stuff lately. So you can do a bunch of different things. You can really take this in any direction that you want. I do suggest always having someone else time you. It's too much to try and time yourself while counting out your heart rate. So ask somebody to time you for 6 seconds, and then you can add that 0. The last thing that I want to talk about is why you might want to know strategies to bring your heart rate down. So obviously it's great when you're exercising to bring your heart rate back down to a resting heart rate, so that you're not constantly like really sweaty, and we don't do jumping jacks all day long for a reason. But there's also some emotional reasons to bring your heart rate down. If you feel frustrated, you might notice that your heart rate goes up. So doing some breathing or some mindful practices could help bring it down. Maybe you tick-tock like a clock, you do the Cool Kid countdown. Maybe you just have to take a walk and go and relax in a corner or something. So I notice that my heart rate often goes up when I'm feeling frustrated, or when I'm starting to get really mad, when I'm entering those yellow zones, if you've heard of that. In the green zone, I like my heart rate to be low. Whatever your resting heart rate is, you should aim to have it there whenever you're calm, cool, and collected and feeling pretty good. Okay, so I hope that you have fun with this activity and really make it your own, and you can definitely do this multiple times and find your heart rate at a variety of times during the day and then add them up. Do some fun math games with that. Thanks so much. Bye.